Donald Trump has steadily led the Republican presidential field for the past 5 months, but Texas Senator Ted Cruz is now closing in. The other GOP candidates remain far behind. So with just a few weeks to go before the Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary, what do the latest standings mean for the Republicans? Joining us now to break it all down is Philip Bump, politics writer for the Washington Post. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning.
So if you look at the latest poll, Cruz is 4 points behind Trump, which, I mean, is indicative of a surge. So what happened?
Right. So in the latest Quinnipiac poll, Cruz has moved up into the place that Ben Carson once held. And that's really what's happened. Ben Carson has really stumbled in the wake of the Paris terror attacks. People weren't confident in his ability to handle national security issues. And as he has fallen, Ted Cruz and Trump a little bit have gained a lot of his support.
We should note that a CNN poll, a different poll, has the gap much wider, Trump up 39 to 18.
Right.
But the interesting point here is that Cruz is now solidly in second place. He's arguing it's now a two-man race.
Right.
Is he right?
No. I mean, it's still a 200-person race, as it has been for a while. I mean, Cruz has definitely picked up a lot of steam, again, because Carson's fallen off. Marco Rubio is right behind him. You've still got, Chris Christie is making a surge in New Hampshire. There's a lot of things at play here. And national polls aren't particularly indicative of what's going to happen over the long term, particularly once we start seeing voting happen.
What's so fascinating about Trump's campaign, in addition to everything we keep covering, is that he's doing it without really any pollsters, no ad team, no research. Do you think all of that could affect him in Iowa, that he doesn't have massive campaigns like we've seen in years past?
Right. Well, yeah, he's run an unorthodox campaign from the beginning. And I think what he's banking on in Iowa and in other states is the fact he has a lot of grassroots support, particularly he has more support from people who don't vote as often. And that can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. It could be a good thing because more people may come out that you weren't expecting and aren't actually being covered in polls, or it could be a bad thing because they end up not voting again. And so we'll see what happens.
Philip, Iowa, which is coming up pretty quickly now, traditionally is not a great predictor of who gets the nomination, but it can be influential in terms of who gets to stay in the race. If Cruz holds on here and wins in Iowa, if Trump loses, how do you think that's going to shape things from going forward?
Well, I think that Trump's salvation is the fact he's still doing well in New Hampshire, and that's only a week later. I mean, it's definitely the case. We don't know what's going to happen in Iowa. Cruz is up, but Rick Santorum was at 4% nationally in 2012 and ended up winning Iowa. So a lot of things can happen very quickly. I don't think Donald Trump is going to lose Iowa and then say, I give up and I'm out of the race. I think that New Hampshire, 7 days later is going to be something that allows him to say, no, I'm still the winner that I've been talking about.
Well, it seems like women have become the latest narrative in the ongoing saga. 61% of women nationally have an unfavorable view of Donald Trump. How does that affect him?
Well, I think that in the primary, it's not great for him, but I think it's more of a general election problem, right? Women tend to vote more Democratic. I think that they are looking at him fairly negatively. Women are also strong supporters of Hillary Clinton. And so people who are strong Hillary Clinton supporters are not going to have a positive view of Donald Trump, for example. In the primary, we saw Ben Carson, for example, had strong support from women. And I think that support has shifted away from Carson, but again, not to Trump, which I think is a problem for him.
Despite that problem with women he seems to be having, in a hypothetical head-to-head matchup, Hillary Clinton wins narrowly, 49 to 47%. Why do you think that is?
Well, head-to-head matchups they're also not predictive at this point, right? I mean, think about it. It usually comes down to partisanship. There are a lot of Bernie Sanders fans right now who are not going to say, I want to vote for Hillary Clinton. So we'll have to see. There's a lot of time before the general election.
All right, Philip Bump, thanks so much for being with us this morning.